Increasing the minimum wage above $10 helps workers and creates jobs instead of hurts them, according to a new analysis. Now, that, of course, goes against what many conservative policy analysts and pundits claim whenever the issue of raising wages comes around. Now, this study, done by Berkeley Center on Wage and Employment Dynamics, found that in the 6 major U.S. cities to raise their minimum wage above $10 an hour, workers' earnings went up while job growth either held steady or improved. Oh, but wait a minute. We're told that if we were to raise the minimum wage, that it would actually hurt workers, their wages would decrease, and jobs would go away. Well, that is not the case. Now, let me tell you how they got to this conclusion. Drawing on data from the Labor Department, the economists found that across the 6 cities studied, a 10% increase in the minimum wage boosted weekly earnings in the food services industry by an average of 1.3 and 2.5% by the end of 2016. Meanwhile, their models pegged the wage hike's impact on jobs to a range of 0.3% reduction or a 1.1% increase. So I would say very modest job growth, but definitely not hugely negative. So what we have here is more people making more money, doing better, taking home more money to their families, and being able to spend that in the economy, and jobs increasing modestly as a result. Now, Sylvia Allegretto said, "We find that they are working just as the policymakers and voters who enacted these policies intended." Wow, wait, a policy doing what was intended. And not only that, but everybody knew that was the whole purpose of that policy. Yes, we want to make sure workers get paid better and that jobs also increase. Well, congratulations, raising the minimum wage has achieved both. Great. In fact, Allegretto continues, so far they are raising the earnings of low-wage workers without causing significant employment loss. But see, that's the thing. It always does that. We have raised the minimum wage a great many times, and every time you hear the same argument. It's going to hurt workers. It's going to cause us to go out of business. Are these companies go out of business? Absolutely not. In fact, they're actually doing incredibly well. So, not only that, Berkeley's researchers had also reached a similar conclusion in the 2017 study of a higher minimum wage impact solely in Seattle. Now, there was a bit of contention with that, with another study saying, no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. But of course, there were numerous flaws in that other study that Berkeley had pointed out. Now, that's not the only study. The Economic Policy Institute had also demonstrated that states that raised their minimum wages back in 2016, many through ballot initiatives, saw much stronger wage growth among workers in the bottom decile, the bottom 10%, of the income distribution without a large loss of jobs. So here you have it. You can actually make people's lives better by raising the minimum wage and not have job losses. This isn't a zero-sum game. You can do both. Unlike what the restaurant industry tells us. I mean, look, what we have is so many incredibly wealthy corporations that can afford to pay for their workers higher wages. And I think they can even afford a living wage. If you're talking about large chains like McDonald's, like Burger King, etc. These companies can afford to pay their workers a living wage, but they choose not to. And look, unfortunately, there's a large section of the American public who even works in these industries or who doesn't, but used to, maybe when they were younger. Number one, they're convinced that, oh, there's just a job for teenagers, which is not true. If you look at the data, a lot of people working in these fast food jobs are actually middle-aged and they have families. Not only that, but of course, look, you have propaganda from conservative think tanks that say if you raise the wages, then again, you're going to have job losses and you're going to have all these companies going out of business, or they're going to somehow turn around and screw the worker. Well, they're already screwing the workers. They're already screwing the workers. And so we need to do something to stop that. They bring this up every time we try to raise the minimum wage. But it's not true. It's not true. And they say this. Oh, while the richest CEOs get paid millions of dollars in compensation. There is no reason. Look, I understand being against a raise, a wage. No, actually, I don't even scratch that. No. There's no reason that in an economy with 3.9% unemployment, that the federal minimum wage should continue to be $7.25 an hour. That's not what we should be doing. We should be raising the wages. We should have a living wage tied to inflation. Forget what you see on Fox News. We know it works. We know it works. We know it helps workers. We know it even helps corporations. We got to stop them from getting away with propaganda. But again, this is what happens when you have these amoral machines, these companies that do, like, their main concern, their main program is to maximize profit. And they will do that by crushing the workers and by crushing the other people and by taking money from, of course, the government in the form of subsidies. Because that's what it is. When you don't pay your worker a wage they can live on and they go and take money from the government in the form of food stamps, welfare programs, that is a subsidy to that company. They pocket the difference. They pocket that money. No. We've got to stop them from getting away with this propaganda and actually make these employers pay a living wage. It is past time. There is no excuse. We need a living wage. We need the dignity of work. We need economic dignity, and we need it now. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.